Hi, this is Mark Morris, and today's edition of our new podcast, Along the Rock, special guest, Darren Mangler. Darren, you've got a double title in your new job at the Dixon Historic Theater. You're the executive director and an artistic producer. What's that mean?
Well, as the executive director, we run daily operations. We're also going out and booking acts, whether it be from bands to comedians to touring Broadway shows. Anything that's out there that wants to come through the Dixon, I'll be negotiating those contracts, as well as with my partners, Jan Fatizzi and Scott Shipp, who is our technical director and our box office and children's show director. We take care of the theater, make sure the day-to-day operations run well. And as the artistic producer, usually it's artistic director, but I'm a part of the Producers Guild of America, and so I wanted to keep producer in my title. We will, in that position, everything artistic on the stage, I look at for the artistic value. And next year in 2025, when we start producing our own plays, there will be a lot of casting and hiring of directors and designers and stuff, which I will be in charge of that as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm not one to bury the lead. So Santa Claus is coming to town. Well, not exactly, but a guy who might as well be. He's very well known in the acting world. Dennis Quaid is coming August 22nd. Tell us how that came about.
Kyle Farabee, who works for the Ronald Reagan Boyhood Home, contacted me and said, hey, we'd like to do some tours through the Dixon Theater, and with a lot of our youth. That's a part of their program. And so I met him. He was a charming young man, and we went through the theater, and he dropped a hint. He's like, would you be available for, let's say, a movie premiere? It's like, well, we show movies at the Dixon, and it's famous throughout history for showing movies at the Dixon. Like, yeah, that's what we're, one of the things we're built for. That'd be great. And then they flew someone out from, DC. Katie Cupp was her name.
Okay.
And we had a second meeting, and they're like, we're thinking about bringing the Reagan film here, and we're thinking about bringing Dennis Quaid here. Would you be interested in that? And I'm like, absolutely. Let's start talking how we can make this work. Now, Dennis Quaid is in my top 5 actors of all time.
Okay.
I've loved him since I was a kid, from Dreamscape and Breaking Away and Inner Space, The Rookie, all of his major motion pictures, Any Given Sunday. I've always loved him. So to have the opportunity to have him live in Dixon, to meet him, shake his hand, to see the community can actually see him live on stage and answering questions, we jumped at the chance to host this event.
Yeah, I would think that you would. Is he going to be here any length of time to a point where people can, shake his hand,
right.
Grab him and hug him, the usual fan stuff.
There's going to be a lot of security, I'm sure. A lot of bodyguards bigger than me.
Yeah.
There's going to be an event before the movie.
Okay.
That's hosted by the Young Americans Foundation, that are going to bring in all their VIPs to have dinner with them and meet. And then there's going to be a red carpet event where he's actually going to walk down the red carpet. So people are invited to come. If you didn't get tickets, which they sold out in an hour and 15 minutes. It was crazy.
Okay. Wow.
So if you want to come, you can see him walk down the red carpet, and maybe he'll shake your hand while he goes through. But then right after he does our Q&A, he gets right on a plane and goes right to Florida, because he's going to be the marshal at a NASCAR event in Florida the next day. So he has to go right off the bat. So unfortunately, he won't be here for very long.
Very tight schedule, as you might expect from a working actor. Well, what in general is the Dixon going to become now under your tutelage?
Well, we have talked about the vision for the future, and what we want to do is we want to take the Dixon up to another level. We would love to be one of the theaters that people look at in the Sauk Valley and all the way to Rockford and Clinton and the Quad Cities, to where when a weekend comes up, the Dixon is up there with the Egyptian and the Arcada and the Coronado and Circa 21, so that people will be like, oh, what's playing at the Dixon? We want to go see that. So we want to bring in bigger bands and bigger events like this Reagan film. We'll also be still doing our tribute bands, but we're also bringing in big comedians. We also would like to start producing our own big musicals, anywhere like Timberlake Playhouse does or Circuit 21, as well as bringing in these huge acts. So what we want to do is we want to become one of the big dogs in the yard.
Get on the list, the short list.
Get on the short list, right? And sometimes people are going to go, you know what, let's go to the Dixon instead of going to this theater or this theater. That looks like a tremendous show. And the people that have come to the shows that we've produced this year, I think have all been super pleased because we have so many people signing up for our newsletter, subscribing, donating has been an incredible benchmark this year. We want to be, like I said, we want to be one of the big dogs in the yard.
Right. Well, that's a good goal to have, and Dixon's not that far from anywhere, really.
Yeah.
The way people move around these days. There are 2 theaters now in downtown Dixon, or there will be again when Dixon Stage Left gets off its feet in the new location. I think you know Scott Fatizzi, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, and you work with his wife.
Work with his wife, yes.
Right.
And he and I have had a few meetings as well. Great guy.
Yeah, we interviewed him a few days ago. Do you consider each other frenemies or competitors?
In the arts, you have no enemies or frenemies or competitors. In the arts, you want to share the community. So the same person that buys a ticket at the Dixon, we hope that they buy a ticket at Dixon Stage Left as well. Because we're always going to be offering something new and something different than each other will be able to. They're a fantastic beacon in our community. I went to a few of their shows last year and was super impressed with the local talent. And so we hope to, build an incredible bond with that theater, as well as the Next Picture Show, and as well as the Civic Auditorium. I think that's what it's called at the Sterling High School.
Yeah.
And Sauk Valley Community College has a small theater that we would love to utilize. We love Woodlawn. We think that all the arts in the area should be, one big friend that we can all gather information for or help out. Because sometimes we're going to do Grease, and maybe a theater has the jackets, and that's going to save us money. So the more friends we have in the area, the better. And I truly hope that Dixon Stage Left becomes a juggernaut as well as us.
Mm-hmm. That's a good attitude in Scott Fatizzi's opinion, and he said basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. We're complementary. We're not competitive in that way.
Yeah, absolutely not. If anything, I hope that we support each other, for years to come, so they can have some of their play posters in our place. We can have our play posters in theirs, or upcoming events. Utilize each other's websites. I think it would be a great partnership, as well as the Next Picture Show, which is another great venue in Dixon. And we really love the Sterling Rock Falls area, so that's what we're aiming at as well, to have people come in. Because when I took this job, I wanted to see how many people lived around the Dixon area. And within 90 miles, 2 counties deep around Dixon, there's over 2 million people. Just between Rock Falls, Sterling, and Dixon, there's around 50,000. So to get just 5% of that number, 5% of 2 million, would make more than what we need per year to keep our doors open. So but I'm a competitive guy. I played football in Savannah, Illinois. Sure. I was captain. I'm like, no, we need we need to get more. So I'm looking to get like 20% of the area to come and really watch the Dixon take off.
Okay. Well, okay, that's a big area to draw from, obviously. But if you're doing quality and getting the word out that way, it should be feasible.
That's why I'm really, excited that you had us, and I was really excited that you asked us to come do this podcast. It's really going to help us get the word out.
Yeah. You said something about early on about fundraising, as I recall. Mm-hmm. Where does the money for the Dixon come from? And obviously, you probably have to break it down into segments, as opposed to TL or DSL, the Stage Left in downtown Dixon. You guys are partially tax supported, aren't you?
Yes. Well, we are a non-for-profit organization.
Okay.
So we actually do have to raise our own funds, but we are also with that title that we can go after state grants and we can go after federal grants to help us. A lot of money has come through from the state and federally. Our two main leaders, Jeremy England and Mike Vanier, have really done an amazing job getting our name out to the state and to the Fed for any sort of funds that we need to help update the theater. As of right now, we're going into a construction phase. We're trying to book shows around that construction phase because we have a 100-year-old roof, and I've been here at 2 of the winters now. It's going to need a new roof, and the tuck and pointing. It's been taking a lot of damage. But once that's done, once the inside of the theater's painted, and we're doing a seat campaign as well to get new seats into the theater.
Don't forget that.
Yeah. So hopefully, if you would like to be a part of the Dixon Theater, you can buy a seat to put into the theater, and that can be your seat for however many years that we decide that you get to have it, and that will have your name on it and all that as being donated, for anybody who wants to buy a seat. But the city of Dixon also stepped up to the plate big time this year. We asked for, they usually give us a certain amount. We asked for more than that, and they voted to give us more money to help the Dixon really take off into the next level. Because as we all know, if you're going to build a windmill, and you want to get that money, you have to build the windmill first, and then you start generating the money.
Right.
And the city of Dixon really stepped up and like, we believe in you. So here's some money, please show us what you can do. And so now it's up to us to make that windmill work and get that revenue going. So the city of Dixon did really well. And people have been stepping up and donating a lot, especially to our children's theater, Dixon Kids, Dixon Young Adults. People have been stepping up and buying costumes for our new shows coming up, Frozen Junior and Beauty and the Beast. Mm-hmm. They're buying costume pieces, they're donating money. The community's really coming together. I think that's what I love the most about working at the Dixon is the community, because they're really supportive. They want to see it work, and they want to see it thrive, and they've really come out in droves to help us.
And children's theater will do that if you do it right.
Yes, it will.
Kids are in the shows, parents are in the seats. That's grandparents.
Right. Yeah, and luckily we have really talented kids in the area.
So I've heard, yeah.
The last few shows we did, Seussical Jr. and Taming of the Shrew 80s style, and they even did Hello Dolly like around December. They were fantastic. I'm really impressed with the talent that we have in the area. It's great.
And all that starts in the schools.
Yes.
And luckily, there are not a lot of schools around here who have cut into funding for the arts with a deep knife or a sharp knife.
Yeah. So. Yeah, they've been doing really well too. I've been going to a lot of the local schools around here and beyond, and everyone is like doing some pretty good productions around here. Really impressed.
Okay. Now you originally, you say, are from Savannah, not far from the Timberlake Playhouse, and I understand you have a history there as well.
Yeah, I graduated from Savannah High, and from 1988 through college, I went to Western Illinois University as a double major in acting and directing, and I spent all of my summers at Timberlake Playhouse learning the business and acting with amazing talent. And the artistic director, Jim Zavanet, back then, is a mentor, just an icon, the way he ran the theater. I hope that I can reflect how he did it, because he was so successful for so long. He was great to learn under. And then I moved to Los Angeles for over 25 years. Mm-hmm. And I've done TV and movies and commercials, and I've worked for Deadliest Catch and Storage Wars and Naked and Afraid. I've worked for shows like that as an associate story producer. And the pandemic hit. And so my friend Paul Stancato was the artistic director at Timberlake. I said, it's my home theater. I love it to death. Please bring me back for one show a summer. And he did. And so I came back for 2018, 2019. The pandemic hit. And then I became a company actor for 21 and 22. And then I was the artistic director for 23.
Okay. Can you remember some of the shows you were in at TLP?
I remember all of them. I can remember all of them. I love them all separately. Well, in 2018, Paul brought me back to do the Full Monty. Now, I hadn't been naked on stage.
I'm sorry.
I know. Don't picture it. I hadn't been naked on stage since I was 18 years old when I was a football player. So coming back to do that, knowing my mother would be in the audience, but it was a fantastic experience. The cast, the directing, everything was fantastic. The year after that, we did Mamma Mia. Had a great time doing that as well. one of my more favorite roles lately, we did Pippin, and I got to play King Charlemagne in that, and that was a lot of fun. But back in the 80s, I was the kid. Now I'm playing all the dad roles. It's a little depressing, but I'll accept it.
Okay. So most of your experience, other than Los Angeles, was right around here. I want to ask you a question I honestly forgot to ask Scott Fatizzi. Is there ever a thought or a dream or a goal to go pro? Not for you, I mean for the theater.
And what do you mean by pro? Like equity?
Well, yeah, actors' equity. I
like
know
actors'
TLP
equity?
does partly equity performers, but I just wondered if that was on anybody's list.
For us to be interested in equity, we have to be bringing in a lot more money. Equity was built to protect the actors in the bigger markets like New York, Chicago, Portland, Dallas, all of those places. So where we're at right now is we are a professional theater, as in we bring in professional non-equity actors and pay them the exact same amount that we would pay an equity actor without all of the dues and insurance that go to equity. I'm an equity actor as well, or at least equity eligible. And in this area, we just don't need it. We don't need to protect the actors because all of the producers here in this area protect our actors anyway. So it's really as a protection in the bigger markets. Since we're a smaller market, they don't need as much protection as well because we take care of them ourselves.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Tell us again. I know you've got the big thing coming up is the Dennis Quaid visit and the preview of the Reagan movie. Now, is that going to appear somewhere on cable, or what is the plan for Reagan the movie?
Right. Well, Reagan the movie is a major motion picture, and its set release is September 30th.
Okay.
So that's when it's going to have its worldwide release. They did have a world premiere in Los Angeles at the Reagan Library in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And they had a big event in the basement underneath the space shuttle. It's a real, I lived in LA, so I've been there a couple times. It's gorgeous, that library there. So they had the premiere there, and then we're the second world premiere, and they're going to be shooting a lot around town of Dixon.
Okay.
So they can have a lot of, DVD extras and streaming extras, which is, it's going to put the Dixon on the map. I can't be more grateful for them to come bring this event to us. And then after that, it will open up September 30th, and then anybody can see it in any theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Well, for this preview with Mr. Quaid, tell us again what the parameters are, if you will. He's not going to be here a long time.
Right.
We know that.
Not going to be here a long time, but our doors open at 6:30. We're going to have a red carpet parade before that, going down Galena Avenue into the theater, just like you see in any Hollywood movie or TV show. There's going to be the red ropes. There's going to be the red carpet. So if you wanted to see Dennis Quaid live, walk into the theater, I'd get there around 6 o'clock and be ready for that. After that, we're going to rush him out of a secret door. As you know, this theater was built during the Prohibition days, so we have a lot of secret doors.
Is there a speakeasy downstairs?
Yes, absolutely. We can set one up. So we're going to sneak him out, get him to the limo, and get him to the airport so we can get to Florida. But then the movie doors will open, and then the movie starts. And again, we sold out in an hour and 15 minutes. We are trying desperately to get a second viewing. Whether it be later that night, whether it be in a week, we're desperately trying. But in that, I've been in the movie world for 25 years now. That footage is like pure gold. So you actually need security guards walking with it, and there's it's all locked. You can't even get to that footage without security codes and stuff. So for us to show it again, we would have to bring out another security person with that footage. But we're hoping we can make that happen.
Okay, great. Darren, thanks for coming in. I know you're a busy man, and
this has been great. Can we do it again?
Of course.
Great, because we have some big shows coming up. But
I'd like to hear about all those. Maybe that'll be our next Historic Dixon show.
That'd be great. Thank you.
We've been talking with Darren Mangler, the man with 2 titles. He's the new executive director and artistic producer at the Dixon Historic Theater. And of course, you'll see his smiling face later this month for the preview of Reagan the Movie with Dennis Quaid, who will also be here. I'm Mark Morris. This has been Along the Rock, and hope you can join us next time.